If I die, just pray that I die bravely.
You'll not die. You'll not have to fight him. Griswold dies as he drinks the toast.
What?
Listen, I have put a pellet of poison in one of the vessels.
Which one?
Live?
The one with the figure of a pestle.
The vessel with the pestle?
Yes, but you don't want the vessel with the pestle. You want the chalice from the palace.
I don't want the vessel with the pestle. I want the chalice from the what?
The chalice from the palace.
It's a little crystal chalice with the figure of a palace.
Does the chalice from the palace have the pellet with the poison?
No, the pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle.
Oh, the pestle with the vessel.
The vessel with the pestle.
What about the palace from the chalice?
Not the palace from the chalice from the palace.
Where's the pellet with the poison?
In the vessel with the pestle.
Don't you see? The pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle.
The chalice from the palace has the brew that is true.
So easy, I can say it.
Well, then you fight him.
Listen carefully. The pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The chalice from the palace has the brew that is true.
Oh, the pellet with the poison's in the vessel with the pestle. The chalice from the palace has the brew that is true.
Good man.
Just remember that.
Sir Giacomo. Sir Giacomo, into your armor. And you to your place in the pavilion.
Hey, it's the key.
Oh, I can hear you now.
We are live.
Can confirm. Well, I'm going to turn on the audio.
Greetings, everybody. This is the Shroud of the Avatar live stream for Release 106, part redo. We are a free-to-play game. I am Ravalox, otherwise known as Steven Reinen, and I am the community manager and part-time operations manager for the game. We also have with us Chris Atos Spears and Keith Sannio Quinn. Chris, you want to introduce yourself?
Do I need to?
No.
Oh, it has been a while. For those who don't know, I'm Chris Spears, Atos in game. Also, you'll see me occasionally in game as Chompy. That's kind of the test character. I actually play on Chompy a lot more because I don't have any friends. That sounds pitiful, but you know, for a dev, if you we can GM ghost or whatever. Really, I just want to log on, not GM ghosted, and not be having like constant pinging of people on me, so no one can see me on when I play on Chompy. So I'm on Chompy a lot more, yeah, I'm here on the stream, and I'll have, I think we'll get a little later in the stream here and wait for a few more people to show up, and then I'll talk about some more of my future stuff with Shroud.
Sounds good. And
It's my turn?
Keith? Yes, sir.
Yep, I'm Keith Quinn, Sannio on the forums and in the game. I am quest designer, level designer, content guy. I implement player-owned towns and stuff like that. I recently created a scene called Vickland, which originally was going to be on the test server still, but it is now released to live. So players who have episode 2 access should go check it out.
Yep, and we have that on screen as well while we're talking. I know we have a bunch of huge subjects to talk about before we get onto doing any conversation about Vickland, but I'll wander around it while we're talking.
Yeah, Janie Gunn says, I love Vickland. Thank you. You're welcome. Vulcan Jedi says, really like Vickland so far. It has silver. Yeah, it's got a lot of silver. Different scenes. We try to have... often we try to have a certain scene that has like an excess of a certain resource. Usually it's an ore node, or it could be wood or something special, like, I don't know, nightshade. This has like a wide variety. Vickland has a wide variety of stuff, but I tried to go a little overboard with the silver. Countering that is the fact that Vickland is actually pretty big. So it's like way bigger than I imagine it might be at the start. I mean, if you look at like Grusk and Grusk Factory, clearly I keep biting off more than I can chew. I need to make future scenes like a quarter of the size. So that there's silver ore, copper ore. Should I keep going on about Vickland, by the way?
I think let's hold off on Vickland
right,
for a little bit. Yeah,
We'll talk more about the resources and everything later.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, so really, usually I do somewhat of a boilerplate of some community type stuff, but
Sure.
I think that we have a pretty important subject to discuss today, so I'm going to hand it right over to Chris.
All right, let's see. I didn't notice how many people had piled into the stream yet. We can go ahead and get started talking about things, though. But you guys might have noticed we had a few, let's call them hiccups, last release. And congratulations on the hype train that got to level 2 there. I'm assuming the same rules still apply.
I believe so.
But you guys might have noticed we had some issues last release. So this was something absolutely and completely unprecedented for Shroud. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on, is taking care of player data and never having any rollbacks, and also almost zero downtime in 5+ years. I think we had that one outage when we had 4 nodes fail at once at the data center. But other than that, I don't think we've had more than just maybe an hour out here or there for various things. So as many of you know, we had an outage that was close to a week. Yeah, it was rough. We worked as hard as we could, as fast as we could. Unfortunately, trying to get things back to a good state. And we made the call. We could have brought it up immediately with old data, or we could have brought it up immediately with the existing data. But there were some serious problems with the existing data. We kind of got lured into thinking we could fix the problems. And it wasn't until we'd worked on it for probably 5 days that we realized just how deep the problems went with things. So I won't go into too many details on what the problem was. I think if you read Reddit, you will know that we were hacked and people were making us pay Bitcoin to undo our servers.
Yeah, 2 Bitcoin, I think is what they said. Yep.
Yeah, I probably would have paid 2 Bitcoin to skip that whole episode.
Yeah.
But no, that's unfortunately that's not it. It was all self-inflicted wounds. It's something that was a problem that was around for years. We never ran into this one situation of data. But the problem was we do back up all of our data. But the reality was these servers were only continuing to run because they had not been shut down. And the data was already corrupted in the database. It was just not corrupted in some of the server cache stuff. And as part of our usual process, one of the things we do is we flush a lot of the cache and a lot of stuff out just to make room for things. But long story short was the game was looking fine until we restarted the servers, and then we found with the actual data that was in the database that things were corrupted in ways that we repaired. We actually were able to repair the plot stuff, but under further testing, there was a lot more that the problems went a lot deeper than that. So that is the unfortunate thing. As you guys saw, we did the best thing we felt we could do, which was roll the servers back to the previous release. Yeah, so not a little rollback. The good news is I was able to extract all the experience gained so that we could just go and add those to you guys, and we came up with a process to apply those to you. We're still looking at the gold stuff, trying to get gold back into people who lost gold. If you bought crowns or anything during that time, for those who are just watching this and haven't logged in, if you bought crowns during that time, when you log in, they'll be re-delivered. That's just how our store works. Is it basically says, "Hey game, what's the last thing I gave you?" And then the game says back, "Oh, you gave me, the last thing you gave me was ticket 118." Well, because we rolled things back, that the last ticket it claimed it gave them was rolled back as well, so it's re-delivered. So that was by design, which it's great. We never had to use that design before, but it worked perfectly. So for those, I guess the short version is we had some massive data corruption. We know what caused it. It's not going to happen again. We have restored experience points earned. We are going to be working towards restoring gold earned during that time. But it was still super painful to a lot of people, but it varied. I saw some people logging in saying, "I don't see anything that changed," which, yeah, for a lot of people, they didn't see anything. For people who had just set up their pots or whatever, and spent hours, if not days, decorating their pots. It was absolutely brutal. For a lot of the crafters out there who had done a lot of crafting, for a lot of the farmers, it was pretty brutal. You know, it was not something, it'll go down in history. We are working on t-shirts. I saw there was a t-shirt. I still think we should get a t-shirt in there saying I survived 105. And we're still working on ways to make it up to you guys. I think one of the things we're going to do is push out a deed upgrade sale, because we actually had some deed upgrade stuff that people were wanting to do, did during the break, and then lost their upgrades. So we're going to try to get there. Let's see, what did we get to? A level 2 hype train? Let's see. So the thing I want to say is we are taking a lot of precautions now. We have basically automated stuff that tells us, will always let us know. That was another thing that was on us, is we did have indications that something was wrong, but it didn't look that serious to us. It was some of our automated reports and automated generation stuff was failing. And just due to massive busyness, because we're focusing on other things like, Unity upgrades and stuff. But we looked at them and said, I don't think that's a problem. Spoilers, it was a problem. So also we're going to be changing a number of things in terms of how we secure our data. We're also going to be changing things in terms of, we'll probably have some more downtime in the not too distant future, because we're also going to be upgrading our servers coming up in the not too distant future to make things, we're going to be moving more things to containers and VMs, where we can actually take snapshots of exact states of things over time, in addition to all the other stuff we do with data, database backups and stuff.
Yep. We'll probably have a server downtime sooner than later, actually, even sooner than that. We have on QA, we've reset the back taxes on the lots. So that's all cleared up. I believe that's been tested up and looks like it's good to go on live. So we just need to get a schedule when we could take live down to do that.
Yeah, that was this was another thing. There's a lot of this stuff that we planned on and engineered years and years ago, as just in case something like this should ever happen. And 5 years later, it never happened, and the stuff was kind of sitting there unused. And we didn't know what some of it did either. So this was a good, it was a test for us. It's a painful test for you guys, but it was a good test for us so we can see how things work, what things don't work. And I can say, as I saw Devil Cold, and I know myself feel the same way, one of the good things that's come out of this is we're a lot more familiar with the inner guts of things and understanding things, which will help us in the future. So again, we're going to be changing up some server stuff and how we do things to make sure we have even another layer of backup on this stuff. We're going to be, again, we have alerts that go off now if things do get into a bad state, and we will not be ignoring them this time just because we don't recognize exactly what might be wrong. And yeah, I think that's most of it. Another thing, this is unrelated. Let me just make this clear. This is unrelated to the recent event, the R105. We need to come up with some name for it. We had internally a long time ago, we use our revision control software that's like super important for the company functioning. And it's called Perforce. And we had a snap power, like just someone had unplugged the backup cord. They pulled the cord out of a UPS and put it directly into the wall because the UPS was making beeping noises and it annoyed them. But basically there's like a whole set of things, and then one of them was plugged into a UPS, but it's plugged into the direct power, not the battery backup. And then somebody kicked a plug and we had a massive corruption in our Perforce. We refer to that, I'm telling that long story, because we refer to that internally as, I'll let Keith say it, just so you guys know I'm not making this up.
Perforce Apocalypse. Or
Perforce Apocalypse. Yep. So
some people say
anyway,
more
we need to come.
but yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, we need to come. That was rough. That was another one of those multiple days in a row of me being awake and staring at a screen crying. But the thing I was going to say is not anything related to that, but I'm going to be rejoining Shroud of the Avatar in a more full-time manner coming up in the very near future, most likely starting in November. I say November because I've got a vacation that's already planned coming up not too long. But anyways, I will be rejoining you guys in almost full-time. I'll probably have like a little bit off, but I have been, for those who didn't know, I had been almost completely helping out the other project and just giving Shroud whatever energy I had left, which was not as much as I usually have. So, but anyways, that's going to be coming to, I'll be wrapping that up and I'll be more partially on that and full-time on Shroud, which will be awesome. And excited for that to happen.
And that'll allow me to get back to some of the other stuff I need to do.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that'll help the team out in a whole bunch of ways. I've also, there's been many times where because I haven't looked at our chat channel, I get on in the morning and it's like, oh, look, there's 581 messages. And it's like, I'm going to miss something. It's a full-time job sometimes keeping up with the team chat. So I'll be excited to be back on it so I can stay on top of that type of stuff. I've not been off. Oh, wait. You want Atos? You're going to get me at least full-time just because I work a lot of hours, as you guys know. You guys will be getting me at least full-time, but yeah.
Chris is a big workaholic. If no one knows, Chris is a big workaholic.
Yeah, my schedule, again, always fits however much work I have to do. And it's been a couple months now where I've been getting up between 2 and 3 instead of my usual sleeping in until 4 thing. So I'll be excited to be back on Shroud and hopefully being able to sleep until 4. But yeah, we've got a lot of catch up to do. Again, I'll be working on things on Shroud full time, but due to the recent disaster and trying to make sure something like that never happens again, a lot of my time will be on invisible stuff. Like, for instance, building out a couple more servers, getting those guys racked, getting the switch done from the live server to new servers after turning them, VMifying things and getting all that stuff, there's about 100 steps involved in all that. So that may be my first month of time back working full-time on Shroud. So let's see, what other stuff do we have? And as you can tell, if you know me, you can tell I look like toast. I'm about as crispy as I've ever been. So I'm glad we got things worked out for Shroud, even if it didn't turn out to be what we wanted. And I'm glad I get to go back and focus just on Shroud stuff here soon. And I'm glad I have a vacation coming up that I won't say exactly when it is because that freaks out my spouse. Afraid someone will break in and feed my fish. I think that's the big stuff that I have. I know one big thing that's even bigger than all that, now that I've talked about our screw-ups and how we promised to do better at that stuff. The thing that did not screw up, the thing that was absolutely flawless, almost flawless, was the community. We were all internally practically in tears for days on end trying to make sure we did not have to do what we ended up having to do. Yeah. And just all the problems with stuff being down, and the community was 99.9% positive and take care of yourself and don't overdo it, and if it takes longer, it's not a big deal. And everybody was super constructive and super positive, and it was amazing. And that's one of those things too one of the things I look at to track the true health of the game. We can look at numbers and player counts and stuff like that. There's a lot of people could be idle or whatever. But how many people have subscriptions? And I get a message every time someone adds or cancels a subscription. And just watching that number. And we were actually, during that time when people could not even play the game, we had more new people subscribe than cancel. If you had asked me that in that situation, I would have said we would have had 100 people cancel a day or something like that. And it was really just a couple of people who canceled during that time, and more than that signed up new. So But again, big love to you guys. Yeah, I mean, I had people telling me that, we've done this for so many years. We've earned the trust and the respect, and one incident will not shake that. So should shake it a little bit, but we're going to do better. All right, that's it. I'm drained.
Okay. Yeah, obviously we it was a little joke in the bonus bundle that we handed out for logins of Ravalox's unused bed. I definitely I don't know. I can't even tell you how many days straight I was up and then took 3 or 4 hours sleep and then came back again. So I really do appreciate the community telling me to go to bed.
I remember one other thing that there were, even though we were super stressed, you kind of get to that point where you're so fried and so many hours and looking at the screen and just can't take it anymore type stuff. But we were in one of those, like, to the point of being silly type things. And I think we were just bringing the server up. And we brought the server up and we're looking at it. And we know we know what error message to look for in the logs. And I've been sitting there watching and waiting to make sure this error message never happened, trying to track, make sure now everything coming back up, it's all good. And all of a sudden, like that error message just spammed my chat 100+ times. And of course I was freaking out and palm in hands. Unfortunately, Devil Cult saved me. Because he looked and we forgot and we left in one log message that was very similar to that, to the bad message that we put in there just to see when this was happening in a good way. But the message was almost identical to the bad one. So I thought we had turned on the servers and we'd rolled everything back and we'd done everything we could. And we were still immediately getting massive corruption and things. But Devil Cult caught the log message and told me. And I think I replied by saying that's good, because I was about 10 seconds from flipping my desk over, unplugging my computer, and walking off into the woods forever. Which is really how I felt at that point. I was just like, what can we do?
Yeah.
What possibly?
Oh, and let's not forget customer service. I mean,
yeah.
Basically reaching. We have players reaching out, and there are still players that we have to individually go and assist with, recovering XP pools and things along those lines, especially the newer players who really wholesale lost everything. I mean, for the veterans, yes, there's definitely a range of stuff where if they decoed, there was a lot of time lost and effort lost. But imagine if you just started playing the game at the beginning of September, and then at the end of September, you lost everything. The character literally doesn't exist anymore. So, after the new players recreate their characters, we can go in there and restore their XP pool. And of course, once those characters are recreated as well, then gold restoration, and if they have a house, the back tax reset, all that stuff will apply to them as well. So definitely a lot of effort involved there. So Lainey and Allium both have been working along those lines, and it's one hell of an effort. We have to go back and verify in the logs, make sure that what's being requested really happened or exists, that type of thing.
Let's see. I was just chatting, if you heard me typing here. We have, for those who've been longtime watchers of the team and know all the team members and in-game name stuff, one of our team members who helps out sporadically, basically when something he ever touched catches fire, which happens occasionally, he jumps on and helps us, and is an awesome guy. He scratches our back, we scratch his, we help him out with things from time to time. Again, my brain is fried. But anyways, Undone, also known as Dr. Bob to other people, he has been working on his game with a very small team. I say very small team, it's probably the same size as ours, but he just not as long. Maybe smaller, we'll see. But anyways, I tried to get him on just now, and he said he's too busy with his game to to jump in, and also he said he's unshowered. Which who showers?
Yeah.
Keith, have you showered today?
What's that?
I actually had showered, but only because I got sweaty. But he said he's not going to jump in. But I told him I would plug his game anyways. His game is kind of live. I think it may be open to people who registered early, but it's called Embers Adrift. If you go to embersadrift.com, you can grab it. I don't know much about it. Let me ask him what information.
Put a link in the chat.
When is it open for everyone? Is it opens for everyone tomorrow at noon. It is buy to play, but very reasonably priced. He says the $30 box price, but there's no box. We don't have a box, Bobby. You don't have a box. But it's using the EverQuest model. If you're an EverQuest person, it is. I think a lot of their stuff they tried to model it after EverQuest, so it's very old school with the more modern graphics, but kind of old school play mechanics, and it's for the hardcore. So give it a try if you want. Watch a few streams. There's some people in there now, I know, and people streaming stuff. But anyways, embersadrift.com. The link is in there. Go give him a plug as a thank you for fixing stuff. I'm trying to think of all the stuff he's fixed over the last, like anytime any of the stats servers break, that's him who's got to fix it. The API, he fixes those things when the API breaks. Trying to think what other stuff. He comes on and helps with lots of stuff. So we definitely appreciate his help and his determination. He made his own game here, so obviously he's super into this type of stuff. So great guy. All right, that's all. I'm gonna hand it back over. Go back to being Pride.
Oh God! So obviously more little tidbits will come out over time. We're gonna have another release in a couple of weeks here, actually. And this month we're not going to do it on Friday due to some timing of some stuff behind the scenes. But we will be having release 107 on Friday instead of Thursday, so it'll be on the 28th of October. I believe that the website is already updated to reflect that change, but it's best we probably advise everybody as well. So when we do that, we'll do the update, and we'll still have the stream that afternoon as well. Instead of our usual day after type of thing, and we'll give more little tidbits as they come up about the time that we spent doing this, because, well, we're still doing it. We're still recovering some stuff and things. So once we'll have more things to talk about once these are done. Hopefully I'll get together. My aim would be another little bonus on the login rewards coming up for R107. So there'll be an extra bag in there with some extra stuff in it as well. And that may include a t-shirt if we could get that done. So that's everything that I have to say about this stuff. So I'm going to hand it over to Keith to talk about Vickland, which I will continue wandering around. Or if you want to give me a guided thing, let me know.
You could just walk up and down the beach, just wander through the woods, and we'll talk about things.
Okay.
Right now, so when you come in from Vickland, you come in the I'm always all turned around. You come in the southeast corner, and then you kind of went straight west and to the shoreline where you eventually found this village. So this village here is a bunch of it's one of 3 Norgard colonies that are in the episode 2 area, Mistrender. The Vicklanders here are a little bit more hardcore in that they're raiders. They raid the shoreline up and down. It's mostly sort of like if you sort of like, it's kind of like a vertical scene. If you sort of split it in half, the left side is shoreline, the right side is kind of like woods and these rocky plateaus. The Vicklanders, they will chat with you. We have a couple of merchants. There's like a crafting merchant. There's a blacksmith. There's a public vendor. Nowhere in the scene like the other episode 2 scenes. Even though it's kind of a town area, there's no lots you can get here, but you can. There's a town crier you can bind to. There's not yet a bank and a mailbox, but there will be one added with the next release. What else we got here? There is one quest already in where you have to find amulets of testimony. And if anyone's into the Norgard history, that's something that their knights, their greatest warriors carry into battle, and it's kind of like dog tags that also let you record your last will and testimony to get it back to your friends and family, your loved ones. There'll be more quests coming. The area actually also has like a sort of a secret second area that's not available yet. That'll be sort of like a part 2 release. It won't be with the next release, but it's at some point there'll be like a second area. So if you keep going forward there, Stephen, there's a cave there's like a orange light in there. There's panthers that live in this cage, but you can also see that there's some obsidian architecture here, and eventually there will be a puzzle here that there'll be a quest that lets you properly trigger the puzzle, and you'll be able to sort of like go through. Is there something in Vickland you can only get there as oh man, I don't know how you say your name. The Zorion Dufresne? Is this probably like you're asking for like armor or like maybe a reward blessing? There's not that yet. There will be a reward blessing in that the part 2 area that's not available yet. There are some decorations you can get. So if you saw the statue that was in that sort of panther cave, like one of them was holding like a crystal in his hand, there'll be crystals that you can get like that, and you can use them as decorations in your house. So that, I guess if you're not talking about like combat things to find, then there'll be some decorations you can find. Can we assume the yellow crystal is not yet on the loot table? That's correct. The yellow crystal's not there yet. It'll be unlocked with the quest that is forthcoming. Some of the quests I'm working on, I don't want to be like in your face quests. Like a lot of times when you go to like a town like Grusk or somewhere, you'll have like a line of PCs asking you to do things. So some of the quests in here will be things that you sort of pick up on your own. You'll find something and it starts like a quest, and it'll probably be like a short little multitask event. You'll say 3 steps, and then when that's done, then it'll sort of like unlock like a daily version, but it won't be a daily version in the sense that an NPC says like I can only pay you once a day. It'll just sort of behind the scenes know it can only say give you a quest starter object once a day. So it'll be subtle. It'll feel more natural. It won't be forced. So to Steven's left, he's trying to sort of skirt that mountain, but on the left, in the little valley he's next to, there's one of 3 banana tree groves. Normally when you go out harvesting, there's silver nodes, copper nodes, like we were talking about before, a lot of different nodes. So we have bananas that you can just sort of like, usually you just find it like in a market stall or something, just like a banana that sits there. It's not something you harvest. So I'm kind of faking that here. So underneath some of the largest standalone banana trees, you might find a banana just sitting on the ground. It's kind of similar to how sometimes underneath a palm tree, you might find a coconut on the ground, except the coconuts are actually proper resource nodes where you have to have like the crafting harvesting skill. Let me see what else. So we saw the panthers. The panthers in that cave are part of a wave battle, and eventually there will be saber-toothed tigers that come at the higher levels of a. There's only a few waves, but the the next level waves can bring out very tough panthers. But if you're not there for that, if you eventually, when the related quest pops up, it'll be sort of two things that happen in the same area. So if you don't want to fight the panthers, just sort of want to do the little puzzle, the statue, then you'll be able to do that. Can't do it right now though. Oh, there's a banana right there. For example, there's a banana. Lots of boars in the area, in the woods and along the shore. There's a lot of reef spiders. So if Stephen, if you want to start heading towards the shoreline, so I made up these things called reef spiders. They're based on our red spiders. They are just kind of colorful. They don't have special abilities. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But they are. So we don't have crabs in our game, so they almost take the place of crabs, ecologically speaking. But they're also like there are sand spider, normal sand spiders in the real world. So reef spiders are kind of a thing that I made up for this. They are not tameable. Some people have asked, are they tameable yet? I actually don't know how to make creature into a tameable version of it. If I ever learn that skill, I'll probably come back here and rework them. There are 3 levels of reef spiders. Each of the 3 tiers are color coded differently. I forget which colors I used. So there's 1 in front of, or 2 in front of you.
Kind of an orange one for a large.
Oh, 3. There's 3. Yep. So there's a small one that's teal. This orange one is the mid-size, and then further toward the water, you can see the purple one, which is the biggest one to your left.
Yep, there you go. So all 4 sizes right there.
There's 3 sizes.
Oh, it was the red one. Was that ferocious? Oh, no, it was ferocious, and then what's the red one? Reef arachnid. So isn't that 4? Right there?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. You're right.
They like me.
So they're just kind of brightly colored. I added a little bit of a splash of color here and there with the rainbow bugs, as Flair Minamoto says. And it's kind of, I also did the same thing in the village. In the village, if you look at like their colors of the tents or the roofs or some other things here and there, the Vicklanders, they like some color in their area. There's I don't remember how many. There's definitely 3 big islands. I'm not sure if one is considered, if you count it as a 4th, but there's basically 3 islands out there. They are a little bit for harvesting. There'll be a little bit for quests. One in particular has a pirate shipwreck that Stephen was at before while Chris was talking. If you go to the edge of this and you turn to the right, yeah, you're looking at the pirate shipwreck right now. At the pirate shipwreck, you'll have ghosts and skeletons. And
here's an interesting, it looks like a swimming area over there with the buoys type of thing.
So that's an old obsidian docks. So you were in the cave before with the panthers, and there was some obsidian structures in the back, and so there's obsidian docks there. There are they're not in right now for you. They're in for me. There's some obsidian statues that'll be here and there. Actually, there's a couple of statues around. There's one by the northern exit, and so there'll be some obsidian statues. So part of the history that you will learn, I'm not going to give too much to spoil it, but a long time ago, the Obsidian Eye and the forces of the Obsidian Eye were in this northern land. And then everything went south for Obsidian Eye. He was defeated. His forces were defeated. And most of them pulled out of here and just sort of like left a lot of it just behind. Those that were left, they were overwhelmed. The few Obsidian followers that were left were overwhelmed, and they sort of like retreated back to some safety areas. And you don't really see them much, but some of the Obsidian structures are still around, like the docks and like that bunker passageway thing that's underneath that's in the cave with the panthers. So we'll slowly address like what happened to some of them. If you did the Gruss factory, there's kind of like a hint to some of it in there. Christ Pallet says, my mom came to visit like 5 minutes before you guys started. Can you start again? Okay, hi, my name is Keith Quinn. Sannio on the forums and in the game.
I think this one here, this.
Yeah, that one's fixed already.
Okay.
Or well, it's not fixed for you. It's fixed for
Right,
me. It'll
gotcha.
be fixed. Yeah.
Cool.
Allie actually, I think it was
Pointed
Allie.
that out.
Yeah. So there'll be some additional decorations and such. I mentioned there'll be a bank going in here, mailbox. There's some more like skulls lying around. Some better signs to let you know what the blacksmith is, what the public vendor is, where the inn is. Yep, that's the public vendor's little shack. And that's pretty much Vickland. Does anyone have any questions about Vickland? Gilo and Hammer throws. We need surfboards in the game. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that would be fun.
If you look at the docks, well, there's a couple of ducks in the area. Often I put like dogs and cats just sort of milling about. You can see some ducks here and there. On the other side, so the building you're facing is the warlord's home. The warlord, his name is Hagen. Hagen's got he's got a pet bear, big obsidian bear, on the other side of his house. Yeah, so that's Hagen in there.
Oh, yeah, look at that. War bear. Cool.
Yeah, so a lot of times, so we have barbarians throughout our game. Our barbarians are kind of like, berserker type guys. And often we pair them up with, because of the connection with nature, often we pair them up with creatures that are like the sort of like spirit animal type things. So you might have some of the barbarians who are paired up with bears, some with wolves, some with I don't know, stags. They could be it'll be consistent. Whatever that the tribe is, they'll be consistently paired up with one animal. So you'll see them interspawn with some other guys. So the Vicklanders have a little bit of barbarian in them, and they are paired up with bears. And of course, Hagen, the warlord, has the biggest bear of them all. Wyverns. Some will be paired up with wyverns. There are a few bears in this scene scattered here and there. Wild bears, that is, not necessarily the guard bears, the war bears.
Those war bears have one heck of a set of teeth on them.
Owsley asked, did the spiders drop essence? They drop whatever the red spiders drop. They are identical to the red spiders except for the color. So they have a pretty simple village. They do some crafting, not a lot. Tangelmeyer presents itself as kind of like a dump. It's one of the other three colonies that Norgard has. So Tangelmeyer presents itself as kind of a dump, but they actually have a lot going for it. They have they've done some pretty solid construction on their buildings and stuff. Where these Vicklanders, they're kind of raiders, and they don't really focus a lot on setting things up. Obviously, they have a few tents. They don't mind being semi-transient, I guess. But what they do have, actually, if you turn right, Stephen, if you go towards the fence away from the water.
Okay.
Yeah, so go behind turn right towards the inn. Hard to say. Go back to the blacksmith shop, or go behind the inn. Just keep going, circle around the inn clockwise.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's tough for me to guide him if people don't realize, because there's like a few second delay. So by the time he's already somewhere, he's like past when I'm telling him to follow. So there's a little shack. If you keep going around past these crafting stations, there's a little shack.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's I made all these colors, so I figured they have like a dyeing shack. So inside there's just like a bunch of different cloths of different colors and dye tubs and stuff. Yeah, and you can see they made a little bit of a mess on the ground. There's like little splashes all over.
I like the footprints.
Yeah, the footprints are there. Rinaldi asked, what are the footprints? The footprints are just colored footprints. Whoever's doing the dyeing isn't so super clean about it, and the weather, I guess, maybe hasn't rained or rained enough at least to wash away the footsteps down here in the dye station. It's not blood.
Yeah, very cool.
I was keeping myself muted because I'm making a lot of noise over here with typing to people.
Okay. So we got some chickens here. Like I said, ducks and chickens instead of the usual cats and dogs. I want to have some birds as the things that stick with them. We got some kids, of course. Erling is the son of Hagen. We basically have 2 kid models, but we also have some like slightly taller and slightly smaller ones. So Hagen is a little taller, but he also is a little too curious, and a future quest will deal with the huge problem that his curiosity caused. Got some training areas in here. So Belladonna Rose says bloody footprints would be cool as long as they're better than blood splatters. So I got there's actually both in that area. There's some footsteps and some splatters, I think.
I can see bloody footprints being used in a quest at some point.
Yeah, the original footprints were muddy footprints in Tanglemire that you can track. So I have there's a list teleporter boat on the docks. It's the one with the orange sail,
Right.
and that will take you to either just the mainland, the overworld right outside Mistrander, or it'll actually take you across the channel to the next island. If you don't know that, this continent is actually 3 major islands, 3 huge islands, and so this area, Vickland, is on the center island, and it's just an easy way to get across to the other island where Tanglemire is and some other things, Spindleskog.
Oh, and I will note that I am going to be working on the map for this over this weekend, so that way in the next build we should have a map for it as well.
Yeah, so the in-game map, when you press like M and you see the map pop up, that's what he's talking about, for those who don't know that.
Yeah, right now I'm assuming if I hit the map, it comes up with nothing. Yeah.
Coswell asks, is that the first place the real names of the islands are given in game? It actually might be. I kind of went out of my way to add that. And actually, if you're on their overworld, I think the sort of local teleporter rowboats that will take you from one island to another, I think I also updated the names on those. I know I intended to, but I don't remember. So yeah, and you could, if you saw the little list that Stephen brought up, I named both the other island and the name of the channel in between the space.
I am pausing on there because I need to start running Prizonings.
Nice. So here's what I'll be adding to that'll come in with the next release. So I have a certain number. So there's a certain quest that'll sort of relate to some new statues that'll be in. There's sort of a woman in a cloak, and in front of her there'll be like a little mini statue of a creature, which will be like a satyr or a kobold or a troll, and those will relate to the quest. So those will sort of be scattered around in the west half. So mostly along the shoreline, but there'll be like one really big one kind of on the tallest plateau in the center of the scene. Talked about the bank and the mailbox a couple of times. There'll be additional props throughout Vickland. There'll be little tweaks of just terrain and rocks throughout the scene here and there as I continue running through and making adjustments or people reporting things. And I'll go, oh, you know what, that's a good idea. I need to make a change around here and there. What else? So don't forget, say the phrase that pays, fall is here. Say it in any in-game chat channel to get yourself in the prizing, to enter the prizing for today.
Okay, so we do have a question. Odin Rot said, you said you were putting together compensation packages that you would announce on the live stream. Could we get details on that? Or were the potion package and 2XP it? On the side note, any rough ETA on adding quests to Vickland area? So let me address the, well, actually, go ahead and if you want to, the ETA on quests in Vickland, and then I'll go into the whole thing.
So one quest is already in Vickland, which is if you go to the bonfire in the middle of the village and talk to the guard there, Leva, she will talk about amulets of testimony. So she'll give you a quest right there. The second quest kind of relates to what Z of Silverdale asked, treasure maps in Vickland. So I know Chris had a treasure map idea a long time ago. I have sort of a variation on treasure maps that I'm working on. And the statues I just mentioned, that'll be sort of mostly on the shoreline side, kind of relate to it. It's a little bit more like a text base. It's not really a map, so like instructions on how to find some treasure. So you'll find these letters, and the letters will sort of give you a guideline on where to start, and then you sort of have to go find where you might dig up the treasure. If anyone has played on Penmore Island and done the treasure hunt in there, it's sort of similar that you'll get to the right spot, and if you're at the right stage of the quest, you will be able to bring up a treasure chest that is locked, and if you have the key, you can unlock it. And but that's kind of the spoiler there. Spoiler alert, retroactively. But there'll be a number of those. That'll be one of the things that'll sort of passively be a daily quest. There actually won't be any NPC that you talk to at all for it, which as I'm making it, I'm like, do we really have anything like this before? So you'll find the things you need, you'll go do the task that is implied, and then when it's done, you'll just have your reward.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the compensation packages. So, of course, we did speak about that throughout the stream today, but to go specifically into this, we added a bunch of stuff into the login rewards for Release 106, which went live, pretty much went live with the server when we brought it back up. But as part of that, because it was special, it kind of gotten overwritten, so I had to reset it again. So there were some double deliveries of the login rewards there. With that said, I do want to pause before I go into the rest of it and say that yes, they are no trade, and the reason why that is because they can be very easily farmed by people just going in there and creating new accounts. So they, login rewards have to be no trade like that. Sorry. With that said, as I implied or intimated earlier, the R107 login rewards will have some extra goodies in them as well, in addition to the planned login reward, to further that effort. And one of those items will probably be a T-shirt saying that you survived the outage. So I will talk to Chris about that, and we'll get that going. I think I was sent a prototype picture, so we'll see what we could do.
I posted one off the Facebook page that was good.
Yeah.
It may have been Vulcan Jedi who made that. I forget if it was Vulcan Jedi or Time Lord, but one of those guys made something.
Yep, yeah. All we need to do is really apply a decal to it. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I don't think I know how to do that directly myself, but we'll see what we can do about getting that done. And then one or two other items. Definitely wanted to have something specifically special in there. And in the flavor of Ravalox's unused bed, I actually was thinking about reaching out to each member of the team and see if there's any special item they want to have in the package reflecting themselves as well. That the unused bed thing came from a Discord type of joke that was going around amongst the community and everything. So I thought it was really cool to put in there. And
Did you need to kick off a few more prizes?
yes, that would finally go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Definitely. Doing another one.
Where you want?
Oh, you want to do it? I just
It's so long. I never get to click the buttons anymore.
That's
Yeah, there we go. One's going and one's queued.
All right, good. So that's the that'll be, well, how many did one go in there already? Where are we at? Yeah,
Only
right,
one
so,
is in our little channel.
all right, yeah. So we should have, that should be 3, and I think it's 1 or 2 more. Your call.
Yeah, should be a total of 4.
Yep. Okay, good. And then in addition to those packages, of course, the compensation aspect is the restoration of the XP, the restoration of or elimination of back taxes. And this one, we're just basically just going flat out, and you know, all the taxable lot deeds in the game that have not fallen are being reset, and we can't exactly just go in there and make them 0. It doesn't work that way, apparently. So Devicult had done the stuff. That's why all the QA testing was being done, and we tweaked that number. So basically, there's a little bit of fluff in there. So if you have a taxable lot, you should have a little bit of a tax buffer on there when it's done. And I saw something in there, and I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but I think I saw something that even tax-free lots, which of course usually just require you to log in, ended up having a larger number than would have been expected for your pledge level. And I don't know if that's actually accurate. I have not checked that myself, but I just want to acknowledge that if that's the case, then that's fine. Those things will get reset over time anyway, so it's not an issue. So, and then of course the gold, which Chris is still working on the gold solution as well.
Yeah, there's gold solution, and then the other things I'm looking at is what we can do for people who missed out on stuff that was in the store that were that they bought on sale,
Right.
and also, let's see, what was the other thing that they were wanting? Vaulted items. Yeah, that's there were some items that came up in the vault that they obviously can't get now for a while. So I'm looking at ways to do that. We don't currently have a way to put everything on sale easily without going and modifying like 10,000 or 1,700 or whatever it is items.
Right. And go ahead.
I was going to say, and the vaulted thing is another one that we're going to look at, because we know some people got some stuff they wanted and can't get it back. I've heard from many of them, and another one just chimed in. So,
yep. And now here's what we have a plan that we're going to set up a flea market on the 22nd, which is next Saturday. And what we will do is we will publish definitive place and time. It's going to be in Hometown, over by where the Crown Store section is. And we're going to set ourselves up a vendor canopy type of thing, and we'll be out there live. And so
let me add about Hometown. For those who don't know, Hometown is a developer-run player-owned town, and it's near Sultan. So if you go, I guess I think it's east of Sultan, along the shore, there's an island that is you can get to. And it actually has a bunch of cross-linked boats that'll let you go back and forth to other all sorts of examples of player-owned towns. So if you're thinking of buying a player-owned town from somebody, or switching the biome of your current player-owned town, and you're not sure what the new biome that you're going to pick looks like, you can go check it out in Hometown. There's a cross-reference there. But otherwise, in the main Hometown area, we have a bunch of buildings and stuff set up. And like Steven's talking about, we'll sometimes do a special event there.
Yep. So, so we plan on, and this is going to be Lainey, myself, and Allium most likely will be setting ourselves up there. And what we will do is interact with players. If there's something that you had bought that you had lost and due to this issue, and you can't find it on the store, we will sell it back to you for Kodos at the sale price. If everything was on, we'll say, yeah, well, whatever the price was, which I believe those things were going to be on sale, the ones that you can't get, replace on your own. We have the ability to verify all that stuff, what was bought and everything, and take care of that for you. So that's one thing we're going to do. So that'll be an event next Saturday. We're still we need to make finite what the time will be and the range of time. So look for those details to be posted in the forums and on Twitter on Tuesday. So we'll do that as well. So that should take care of that issue. In the future, though, we're not going to drop this idea of figuring out some way to put everything on this in the store on sale, because that would still be a nice to have. So it's definitely not something that we'll be able to do in 5 minutes. So I believe now their popular requests, of course, is to restore your skills to where they were at the end of the month. But that's not something we can do. It's not feasible. That's part of the reason why we took so long. The 7 days was not scratching our heads over one thing. As Chris said earlier, we were able to. The main problem we had were that houses disappeared. Lots that were claimed looked like they were unclaimed, but they were really claimed in the database. So there was a lot of linkage broken.
Orphans.
Yeah, orphans. So we went through that. We did fix that, but then that exposed other stuff that needed to be related, items and things along those lines. And then, of course, we found that there were additional problems. It's just it was one of those spidering things. It just kept on reaching out and getting more and more complicated. So it's said that we had to make the call in the end to restore the database back to before there was any sign of issues whatsoever. It was not a pleasant decision to make, and it definitely was very upsetting. So that's where we are as far as that's concerned. I think that covers all the stuff that we have on the recuperation plan at this point.
You guys pay big money for like Obsidian Books of Unlearning. We just gave you one for free, kind of, sort of. Took all that experience you earned and put it back in your pool so you can spend it again.
Actually, some people were actually saying is that they looked at it that way, where they were trying out some builds and stuff, and now they know what they should do or shouldn't do. There were also some requests of us putting up the bad database on QA so people could go in and take a snapshot of their stuff, but that database is so hosed up that it's not something we could do. It would actually cause damage at that point to the QA server. We'd have to restructure everything and fix it, and then the information that would be presented to you would not be consistent or accurate. So. Okay.
So Lane was asking about a time frame for deed upgrade sale for Kodos. Is that information we have for him?
Yeah, I think that's been submitted. We just need to do a build for that. Is
that
right,
it's been built. It needs to be uploaded and that's it, and published.
So is that like this weekend, next week?
Yeah, we can probably turn it on tomorrow morning.
There you go, Delane.
We'll turn it on tomorrow morning. That was another
near future,
player request.
Right. Now the deed, the back taxes issue is an incremental thing that keep on piling up. When do we want to? And I'm putting you on the spot here, Chris. When do you want to schedule the server bounce? Because we do need to take the server down to apply that. This particular one only takes about a minute or two to apply the change to the database.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's still scary.
Yes, it is.
It's all scary now. We all are just like still in having PTSD.
Right.
And anytime we have to change something.
Just to say, the reason why we want to do this sooner than later is because while the players have back taxes, if they, assuming they can't afford to pay them, then reach out to support and we'll refund that, the payment that they made to get rid of the back taxes. But if they have back taxes, they can't place another lot. So that's why this needs to be cleared up as soon as possible.
I don't know when a good time to do it is. I hate doing it on the weekends, but I also hate people not being able to place lots. So let's shoot for Monday morning.
Okay, agreed.
I've been pushing on the weekend.
All right, I agree with that. And guys, of course, this is just to make sure that the weekend, which is the best time for you guys to have access to the server and play, is not interrupted. And if anything does go wrong or south or anything, this way we have time to fix it before it's a high watermark again. So that makes complete sense to me. So we'll set that up and we'll take care of that. And it'll what we'll do is we'll aim to take it down somewhere very early, around like 7 a.m. or something like that.
Yep.
So
we get up early.
Yep. Yeah, that way Chris and I are both up and we'll both be there to deal with it.
Although there will be nothing to deal with, it will all go perfectly and smoothly, and there will be no problems whatsoever.
Yes, of course. Okay, so Odinrot just asked if there were any plans for refunding those of them who couldn't or didn't wait for the deed upgrade sale.
And I just saw someone in our team chat say, in the meantime, if they're stuck with their housing, contact support and I'll help them. That may also go for refunding gold that you spent on those the back taxes that you had to pay.
Exactly, right.
How do they contact support?
That would be sending an email to support@shroudoftheavatar.com.
There you go.
Yes, that's right. We have retired the portalarium.com email address.
Yeah, we used it for too long, and now want to make sure that everything is all catnip games and Shroud of the Avatar.
Yeah, and that effort, of course, is ongoing, which actually is probably something I could just mention here as well, that I'm working with Taslo, our beloved webmaster, to clear up anything that's left of the Portalarium residuals, and in addition to fixing some things that have been broken for quite some time, including subscriber rewards. There's periodic things like every 3 months there's die packs and titles and other things along those lines that are given out I guess basically a quarterly basis. Fixing that issue, and that should be coming out. I had to actually all this stuff right before R105. I had to put that effort on hold. I was working with Taslo and getting that done, and because I was actually the one who was deploying R105 back in July, I guess it was, right? Yeah, something like that. I don't know, R104, geez, months are passing by real quick. So July and August and September, I wasn't able to really work on very much anything else except for operations. So with Chris coming back into the fold with more hours spent, I will be able to shift back and get some of these other projects done, and the major bugs that I was working on fixed as well. So I can't say it's going to happen in the next month. Obviously not going to be by this release, but I will hope to target by next release to get all the subscriber rewards all fixed up. And one detail that's important to say is that any past due rewards like titles and or die packs will be delivered all at once. So be cautious about what you pull out of your rewards bin so it doesn't overweight, cause an overweight situation. So
I had a question, Stephen, that kind of came up in the chat. So we talked about support@shroudoftheavatar.com is our new official support email.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody has already or will accidentally in the future send to the old support@portalarium.com? What happens?
Right now we actually left the old address there as an overlap. We're probably going to leave the old address there for about 6 months. We could actually find out how many people are actually, take a poll in the server and find out how many how many actual emails are coming in on the old address. We won't even consider disabling that address until we know for sure that there are no references whatsoever in any of our documentation or on any of our social platforms to that address. And basically, it's not that important that we disable the old one as long as it visibly indicates that everybody should use the new one. Does that make sense?
Yep. You asking me? Yep.
Yeah,
I said
yeah.
Yep.
Just to make sure. Sometimes I ramble on a little bit and it doesn't make sense. So, okay. So, yeah, that's. I think that's everything I would have to say here. Obviously, I'm looking forward to getting back to finishing up some of the projects I have on that have been waiting for me to get done. With the additional time that Chris will be able to spend, he and I can split the operational tasks, and that'll let me get back to doing some of the more creative stuff as well. And we'll go from there. I should say that Flair Minamoto is going to be helping me on the dungeons. We are definitely working on one of the things I want to get to, actually, and Chris, I may tag you on this, and DC as well, Devil Cult. There's an ongoing issue with her dungeon actually crashing. She's got the largest dungeon in the game, and
Right, I heard about that.
yeah. So we'll offline type of stuff, details. But bottom line here is what I found is it's actually not crashing until the next scene starts loading. So I'm thinking something may not be clearing out in variables or something. Might be a little memory leak or something.
So if it's reproducible crashes are easy peasy.
Exactly, and it is. It's very reproducible. So we will sort through that. Flair's even said it, or it may be a semi. So it might, it could be a number of aspects. But based on the logs that I've gotten, actually, she just sent me logs from her last crash, so it's pretty straightforward. We'll take a look at that. But Flair is going to help me go through all the dungeons. I had said this, I've been saying this actually for quite some time, and we're going to redo the master sheet for the dungeons and get things all cleaned up. So obviously it's a grand plan, and I am definitely famous for having grand designs and wanting to get a lot of major things done. So I'm hoping that this is going to be one that I'll be able to accomplish and not take another year to get it done. So, and of course that comes on the heels of me finishing up Lottie, which is not something I've been able to work on for the last few months. So, as we move into November here, I'm going to make a huge effort to get that done. Of course, a reminder as well that this is our last full release for the, I say full release of timing for the year. We are moving into our abbreviated release schedule for November and December. So if I remember correctly, November 18th is R108, and R109 will be on the 16th of December, I believe. You're muted, Chris.
Those are Fridays you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the 15th then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just for clarity, if you heard him say that we're not doing another full patch, he means that we're not going to have the full time to do it because we shift our schedule forward. We're still going to be doing patches.
Right.
We're still going to be doing releases.
Yeah.
So what we do is
forward due to the holidays.
Yeah.
we compress the November and December timeframes. Well, November gets compressed and December gets shifted early by a week for like Thanksgiving and the usual end of year holiday stuff. So we have time with our families and whatever.
Exactly. So, and of course, as such, those two releases aren't really content-centric, more of bug fixes and things along those lines. Then, of course, we have the January release that follows up, which is extra long because of all that. So that's a good thing. It gives us more time to clean stuff up. And I believe that in January of 2023, we'll probably talk about our roadmap for the year and see if we can get some clicks on that as well. So bring everybody up to date. So that's what's coming up in the next few months. All right, I think I've yammered on enough. We could probably do prizes now.
Do the thing.
There's one more question.
Go ahead.
that came up a couple times.
Sure.
So the Unity upgrade was kind of like a big thing that you guys were working towards a month ago. And obviously we had this big database apocalypse thing.
Yeah.
How has this affected the schedule of the Unity upgrade, or is that not something to share yet?
Actually, no, that's fine. The schedule for the Unity upgrade has not actually been impacted by this because the next blocker or dependency to move forward with 2021 was to get the new build machines in place. So there's the new build machine.
Nice, yeah. Chris is holding it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Big.
So basically, it's what 2 generations newer in RAM alone. So it's definitely a lot newer server. And
I forget the exact number on it, but it's a one of the newer Xeons that is on DDR4. And more importantly, for the builds, the thing that makes them painful is that most servers, we want to have them at the data center, but most servers are generally built with lots and lots of cores that all run at a lower speed because that's what you want in a server generally. That does not go well with our build process. Anything in Unity and a lot of our build process, a lot of it beyond our control is still single threaded stuff. So we have these like 2.2 gigahertz servers with like 56 cores, and that doesn't build very fast. So these are actually newer boxes. They're on one of the lower core count, but they have a turbo speed of like 4.8 gigahertz, and they're more modern. So that's going to be replacing our build stuff. So hopefully we can cut like an hour off of our build time. So
yeah, at least an hour. Yeah, that plus.
And also,
go ahead.
Splitting. I was going to say that's the other thing is we're splitting our. Right now we have a build machine that does all the builds. We're going to be splitting the builds so that we have a QA build machine and we have a live build machine. So we can put Unity 2021 on one, and we can put keep Unity 2018 on the other, and make our lives less painful.
And going forward, of course, this means that we'll be free to do QA builds a lot more often if we need to, that type of thing, which will make our development time a lot better, because basically we have to share space with the production builds, and the overnight dev builds are running as well, and the maintenance builds. So if I go to start a QA build around now, actually between now and 7 p.m., I'm pretty much doomed to get delays all over the place because of the overnight builds. So this change will improve. Well, I can't even say improve. It's like night and day. It's between the newer, better hardware and having a dedicated machine for production and for QA, our builds are going to be just a lot more pleasant to do. Then, at least from our alpha testing on 2021, we have seen that the build process time was greatly reduced. So hopefully that, in addition, will pile on top of all this stuff. So when we get 2021 live, we will have a much better build scenario. So with all that said, 2021 wasn't delayed by any of these issues that went on. Once the build machine is in place, then we will go ahead and move forward with 2021. So that's still technically on pause until Chris can get those boxes into the data center. Otherwise, we're bouncing back and forth between releases, and obviously don't want to add to any possible continued issues at this point. So that is that. Any other questions came up while we were talking here? Looks good.
I think we're good.
Oh yeah, well, somebody here said the old ones were 486s. No, actually they're 386DXs. So
EX, I thought they were SX.
Oh yeah, SX with a coprocessor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's give out some prizes. Who wants to read names?
I'll do it.
I want to do it.
Oh, all right, you do it then.
I want to butcher some names.
All right, Chris wins. He gets to do the names. Keith, if you want, you can read the prizes then.
Okay.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Ready.
All right. The first prize is a black leather Chesterfield sofa and chair.
And I've turned my chair. I get a lot of feedback that I talk out of one side of my mouth, and I've realized it's because when I talk, if I sit normally, my head's turned about 45 degrees. I don't know why I tend to talk out one side of my mouth. So I'm going to turn my chair to call these out. I probably still talk out of one side of my mouth. But anyways, we have first Jamie Murphy. Then we have Munfie, Arcanist Storm Surge, and Ray Zero. I almost said REI because I'm a big outdoor guy and I go to REI all the time.
That's a store. Yeah, people know.
The store. But
All right, second
Ray
item.
Zero
Second item is a carved decoration fountain.
goes to Al Thayer, Sean, Asmodi Mahul, and Cece. A lot of names in there, I know.
By the way, Mr. Storm Surge, the first name is, or Mr. or Mrs. I don't know, Arcanivus. I think you missed the V. I think you said Arcanus.
Oh, Arcan. Okay.
So the third item. Third item is the Autumn Leaf Pile 5-pack.
Goes to Cryothan Ice, Leaf Eye Gentle Breeze. Am I on the right line? I'm on the right line. Astrea and Hawkwind.
Nice. All right. Item number 4 is the Autumn Leaf Mask.
Goes to Tomas Talarin, Dices, Leaf Eye Gentle Breeze. Yes, that's a dupe, I believe. And Gaylorn Hammer Throw, another name I know. Actually, I know most of these names.
And the fifth and final prize is the White Marble Ballroom A.
Which goes to Iron Mayhem, Alejandro Destiny, Morkan, and last but not least, Kelworth Dalfort. Woo!
Yay. Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations, everybody.
Excellent. Good
Great.
deal.
No collapse now?
One last thing I see, Hollyhawk mentioned that, yep, my Sky Dragons disappeared in my town. It was a bug where, like, anything that was in a flock, like those dragons, it's a system that we have called a flock. They were at the 000 point, which meant they're, like, pretty much underneath any town that they were in. But I think that's fixed, or a fix is about to come in.
In the build tomorrow morning, it should be.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you still have the flock placed properly, they'll be back up in the air soon.
Yep. One last thing, which I could have mentioned earlier, but I
so many one last things.
Yeah, I know. Well, with me, that's how it goes.
Important. This one's important.
Yeah. We have a new team member coming on board, and that would be one of Vipers, as his dev name is going to be. That would be Vesper. And he's going to come on stream in, I guess, about 2 weeks to talk about what his role will be and all that neat stuff. So just wanted to give acknowledgement because we activated him, as it were, in Discord during the outage scenario, and he helped out, and engaged with the community and was testing with us and all that neat stuff. So value already. And wanted to give him acknowledgement and that he's here and starting to get himself situated. So he'll come on and talk about what his role is going to be and what his priorities will be.
I think his timing was actually a little bit suspicious because I think we activated him. Like I said, he's a dev now. I'll add him to the chat channel. And then like maybe the next day or something is when all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
But he had not been added to the thing that allows him to access anything or actually been flagged as a dev. But he got to see the pain and suffering, the internal fun that we had.
Yep.
Fun.
Absolutely. Okay, so the last thing to do here is to do a raid, and I'm trying to see, there was one thing, but let me go look where we are now. Find the right browser. There it is. Just to make sure where we are. Okay, so we have. I think I have a suggestion in here from that new team member to raid Xiphung. Oops.
So that's what we're rating.
Yeah.
Vesper says that Xiphung loves Shroud and is a new player. That's pretty awesome.
Yep, and I've actually talked to him during the week of the dark era there, dark times.
Yeah.
I actually ended up joining in on a Discord chat. There was like, geez, at least a half dozen people, maybe a little bit more in there, and he was one of the ones in there. We were hanging out, talking about everything that was going on while I was working with Devil Call on the database.
So when we go over there, everyone, don't forget to click that follow link. Give him some support.
Okay, and there we go. Hopefully that worked. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to be ready to raid in about 5 seconds. So thanks everybody for sticking with us and being so supportive. I mean, during that whole week that we were down, I mean, it's definitely understandable that people are going to have, you know, frustration, gripes, things like that. But I mean, the bulk of everybody was just basically supportive and wanting us to take care of ourselves and not kill ourselves trying to get the game back up. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, that said, we're going to go ahead and raid. Have a nice time,
All right.
guys. See you later.
See you guys
Bye,
in
thanks.
2 weeks. Right?
Yep.
Another stream in 2 weeks.